Kiwe conversation. The only place you gonna get it is the only place you gonna get Big U.
Wes. Welcome to the Damu Kiwe conversation. Home to the West Coast. That's that big ass W. Voice of the culture. His DUSE the gun. And we back up in this month. Back at it like a crack addict for sure that. So, breaking news NBA gambling scandal with Chauncey Billups and the mafiosos. This ain't the first time we've heard recently about the mafiosos. We'll get to how that's linked in a minute. Hit that like button on your way in. Y'all in here with the dime. DUSE. So let's get to this real quick. Chauncey Billups. Shout out mixtapes, mymixtapes.com. Portland Trail Blazers coach Chauncey Billups has been arrested by the FBI for alleged illegal gambling. Sources tell ESPN. Shams Charania. You know when Shams drop it, he's the new Woj bomb. You know what I'm saying? When Shams drop it, it's official, like a gang member with a pistol. Y'all hear that now. Portland Trail Blazers coach Chauncey Billups has been arrested by the FBI for alleged illegal gambling. Sources tell ESPN. Shout out again to mymixtape.com. You know what I'm saying? I get some news from them here and there. You know what I'm saying? But also, we got other blogs confirming. Not only did Shams drop it, we got other blogs. Say Cheese TV. Blazers coach Chauncey Billups has been arrested by the FBI for alleged illegal gambling. Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier was arrested this morning as part of an FBI sports betting gambling probe. So, Terry Rozier, I said Rozier. Terry Rozier is looking at a situation a lot different from Chauncey Billups, but I believe that his NBA career is probably over. You know what I'm saying? But how are they getting? Let's get some more information on this, man. I know that's what y'all here for. We'll get to that part after. Let's get y'all some up-to-date information, man, about what they're saying around the league about this illegal gambling. You know what I'm saying? Breaking news. Let's go. Damu Kiwe.
Get up live in New York with major breaking news as
Sports
we touched
edition.
on early this morning from the NBA involving not one but two arrests of notable people within the NBA. Shams is with us. We've been following your Twitter feed all morning long, Shams, as you've been reporting on it. For those who've not heard anything about this, just tell everyone everything they need to know. What has happened this morning?
Greeny, Portland Trailblazers head coach Chauncey Billups and Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier have both been arrested this morning. Billups at around 6 a.m. in Portland, Oregon, and Rozier around 6 a.m., I'm told, in Orlando, where the Heat were playing last night. Rozier's been arrested for his involvement in alleged sports gambling, prop bets, and Billups, ABC News is reporting, is tied to an illegal poker operation tied to the mafia. And so, the FBI has been investigating this situation for several months, and in Rozier's case, at least 2 years. And today is making arrests. There is a press conference that is set by the FBI. The Eastern District of New York has been leading this investigation. I'm told FBI Director Kash Patel has also been increasingly involved in recent weeks. He will be leading the press conference today as well. But this is really seismic news in the NBA for a sitting NBA head coach in Chauncey Billups to be arrested, taken into custody for alleged illegal gambling, as well as Terry Rozier for sports betting, allegedly. 2 arrests made this morning. There are expected to be numerous arrests also tied to both of these situations.
After my accident, I called Hupy and Abraham, a law firm with the resources, experience, and knowledge
Let's
to
go ahead and hit
maximize
that
what your
like
case
button
is
again
really.
if you're just coming in. Y'all are here with the Damu Kiwe conversation. It's the Duke Sims, man. Y'all hit that like button. Let's go.
If you love the Packers, get the
Back to it.
In the midst of, I suppose you would have to say, a sports league's worst nightmare, is there any indication that the league had any idea this was coming? Did they know any of this might happen this morning?
Knowledge of specific arrests. This has been led by the FBI. The FBI made their arrests early this morning. But the NBA has been investigating Terry Rozier, Malik Beasley. Terry Rozier was cleared by the NBA investigators over the last couple years. That's why he's been playing in games. Malik Beasley, a free agent, has not been cleared by the NBA's investigation. That's been ongoing. As of about 15, 20 minutes ago, I was told Malik Beasley was not taken into custody today as part of these gambling investigations and arrests today.
Okay, so again, we've had 2 arrests so far, and the possibility there will be more. It's outstanding work, Shams. As always, we'll let you get back to the phones here, and if there's any further information, please join us as we'll bring it out to the table here right off the bat. We live in an entirely different atmosphere when it comes to sports gambling than certainly those of us, Shefty and I, and some of the older people at the table, grew up in this business being around. Sports gambling was always something that was completely verboten. It was something that was sort of in the shadows. It was something that leagues stayed far away from. It was something that networks like ESPN would stay far away from. Those days are obviously long behind us. You hear a lot about legal sports gambling on this show. The Bussin' Boys, obviously sports gambling is a huge part of what you do, so we put those all out there as a preamble because it might be in the back of people's minds, and we acknowledge that this is a different time and place. However, there is a fine line, not so fine, there is a bold line that obviously has to be drawn between legal sports gambling when it comes to the public and anything that might infiltrate into locker rooms and into teams. And we all knew it was going to be a complication as this became more and more prevalent within the world of sports. So, Dan, I'll start with you. You played in the NFL, 12 years in the NFL. These are obviously conversations. For all of that time, sports gambling in this country would have been illegal. And in those days, as I have been told many times, people would come in, representatives from the league, make very clear just how far away from these sorts of things and how serious the consequences are for anyone who was caught and entangled in any of this stuff. What are your thoughts as you hear these stories?
Yeah, I think number one, what you do in the darkness will always come to the light. And these players and Chauncey, at least allegedly, have been doing things, you know, that they certainly thought would be remain secretive. I think the second thing is, it's hard, like back then when we were playing in the league, it was relatively easy or significantly easy for us to stay away from it because it wasn't as easily accessible. You know, so yes, we always had people coming in and explaining to us what you could and could not do. And it was mainly don't do anything. And it was almost like you didn't think about it twice because it was such an impossible thing to even entertain doing. Now I think because it's so easily accessible and there's so many different ways to do it, it's a much easier slippery slope to get yourself into. You can dip your toe in the water, and all of a sudden it's a snowball and it goes downhill real quick. And so I think that's one of the challenges to people in the limelight, people in the sports world, people in roles of leadership. It's so much easier to make a mistake nowadays than it was years ago because it's so easily at our fingertips.
We've discussed the NFL an awful lot this morning on the show regularly, and we've seen this sort of activity creep into the NFL world where back in 2022, wide receiver Calvin Ridley was suspended for a full year for the accusation that he had gambled. We've seen other players like Jamison Williams get 6 games, Quintez Cephas, C.J. Moore, other players also be suspended. There was a rash of suspensions from the NFL in that time period, raising everybody's awareness. But today feels a little different. And we don't know very much about the particulars of this case. But when you see a head coach of a professional sports team get arrested, you stop and ask yourself, we have not seen anything like that through the history of sports very rarely. Like that is something that makes you stop and say, wow, because it is so rare and so unique. But this is the type
Chauncey
of
Billups
story, this is the type of situation that we're starting to see more and more of. It's the world that we live in. We're on a network. We're seeing overs and unders and betting lines all the time. It's all around us everywhere. And obviously, it's infiltrating into the sport as well.
For those who may be wondering, some things may seem obvious to all of us and may not be obvious to everyone who is watching. So let me just give you a quick explanation. I did the first interview with the central figure in the Arizona State point shaving scandal about 15 years ago. And the way these things can happen, I'm not in any way suggesting this is what happened in these cases, but with these prop bets, they are incredibly simple. A player can get involved with a bookie. This is what happened in the case of the Arizona State. He's betting on other things, betting on football games or whatever the case may be. All of a sudden, he owes him a little bit of money. All of a sudden, a conversation takes place. I wish I could get rid of some of this debt that I have to you. The next thing you know, simple as that. A player feigns an ankle injury. He hits all of his unders, and that's the end of the conversation. That's how easily something like this can happen. That was happening long before this activity was legal in this country. So it has always been a part of the culture, but to the point that these guys have made here, it's so much more prevalent now that it's easy to see how it becomes easier. Just thoughts, again, from three former NFL players.
I will say, contrary to what Dan said, I've been places around things where it was actually easily accessible. But you are taught in football, at least when we played, that, I mean, this is worse than drugs. If you're an athlete in a place and it's like you can't be at places where they gamble. People may approach you about these things, and here's what you need to say, because these are the things that'll come of it, the implications, the consequences to it. And so, I mean, you were just taught, again, in our day, that it was something you stayed so far away from. But in today's world where it does get muddy, are people disciplined enough for that? Because it does, in one hand, show, hey, there's a lot of people that do this around sports, and it's a big part of sports culture now. Drives the sport, so to speak. Like, where is that line, and how?
Shop the largest selection of Chevy trucks and SUVs.
Conversation. What y'all thinking, man? Give me a 1 in the chat right now if you think Gilbert Arenas ratted on him. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I ain't putting no jacket on no nigga. I ain't seen the
How
word.
pronounced is it for players in that situation?
Yeah, I think the thought process, like before, at least when I was growing up, it was gambling was for people that were in the corner, shady in the shadows. You had to get a bookie, that type of thing, kind of like movie stuff to be growing up in Arizona. And then I get into the league, it's illegal, it becomes legal, and you have these meetings with the NFLPA. They come in, they say you cannot bet on NFL games. At the time when it first started, it was like, you can't bet on anything. You can't even have the app on your phone.
You can't endorse companies that have connection to gambling.
Right, but my understanding of it was, if you make it legal in certain states and have regulations wrapped around it, you preach responsible gaming, then it can be safer for everybody to enjoy, add a little something extra to their game, which is totally fair. But when it comes to, if you were playing a professional sport and you can change the outcome of what people are betting on, there should be, it's a very strong line. You should not even have it on your phone. We had a situation with the Titans where there was a guy who was placing bets, but he was placing bets on college games, which is fair. But the issue with the way the NFL works is, if you're on the property of the Tennessee Titans facility and you place a bet, that is technically illegal. So he wasn't betting on anything NFL-wise, but because of that, he missed 4 games.
Quick word, go ahead, Will.
Yeah, dude, it is such a slippery slope. Like, the fact that it's tied to the mafia, you gotta assume, like, we're sitting here assuming that it started small, and now you're getting to, like, this is like Hollywood stuff. I know for me, like, as it was transitioning from illegal to legal, like, I had a situation, I joke about year 10 all the time, but when I went down to Atlanta to sign, I had a gambling show already in place that I had to sign all these things to kind of separate it. But then it was such a long process to even get there to where I could be eligible to play that it's just like, yo, they hammered down on all this stuff. I think it is nuts what is happening with this NBA situation.
At the end of the day, if these sports leagues, professional sports, and even collegiate sports, they don't have the credibility of their product, and they don't have anything. And so that's why they have to be as careful about this as they have to be and as they are. And again, the news this morning, we have seen 2 figures from the NBA arrested in separate instances in gambling probes. The reporting continues. We'll hear more from Shams and others as we roll on.
Nasty work, bro. I'm just saying, that is nasty work. You know what I'm saying? But how many of y'all dropped them ones in the chat? Because y'all think Gilbert Arenas told on them. I'm just going to say, when I hear that the mafia's involved, and I remember about a month and a half, 2 months ago, let me see what the date was. I got a bad sense of time. 2 months ago, you know what I'm saying? So it ain't that, you know what I'm saying, but it's bad, trust me. You know what I'm saying? But Gilbert Arenas allegedly had ties to the mob with what they were talking about, his gambling ring busted. So he's out. So I'm saying, oh, he might be the one working. Let's get to this real quick.
And it sounds like a Hollywood thriller. An alleged Israeli crime boss, a famous NBA player, and a high-stakes mansion gambling ring busted by the feds. And tonight, NBA All-Star Gilbert Arenas shares video as he leaves court, seemingly untroubled about the serious charges he's facing. Eyewitness News reporter Tim Caputo live in Encino tonight with more on this story. Tim.
And Mark, up the driveway here behind me is that Encino mansion where these high-stakes poker games allegedly took place. You can't actually see the house from the road, and maybe that's the point. These weren't your average poker games either, not just because of the amount of money that was being gambled, but because the U.S. Attorney's Office says those who orchestrated, supervised, and directed these poker nights profited at every turn. A smiling Gilbert Arenas skips down the steps of the federal courthouse downtown, very visibly unbothered by his arrest.
Can't hold me, baby. They can't hold me.
The NBA star facing 3 federal charges, including operating an illegal gambling business for what allegedly went down in this Encino mansion between September of 2021 and July of 2022. The Department of Justice claims Arenas, years after his NBA career was over, rented out the home and directed others to stage the place to host high-stakes poker games. In the indictment, the DOJ included this photo that Arenas allegedly texted to one of the other 7 people charged. It's a poker table that says Arenas Poker Club. Arenas' attorney not saying much after the multimillionaire former pro athlete pleaded not guilty in court.
We'll just sort of see how things go, but he is getting out on bail.
And what's this?
I'm sorry?
The spirit. Oh, his movie.
Seemed fine when I saw him.
He seems more than fine after posting the $50,000 bond. This video posted to social media included the caption, "This ain't got bleep to do with me. Just rented the house. Wasn't part of the festivities." The festivities, according to the DOJ, included paid poker dealers, chefs, valets, armed security, even women who served drinks, offered massages, and, quote, companionship. Retired FBI agent Bobby Chacon says this went way beyond your average poker night with friends.
When I've been involved in friends' poker games, we each throw in a few bucks for chips and beer or whatever. But in this case, the house was taking a cut of every pot, either usually a percentage of the pot or, a flat fee per hand. So it was really operating much more like a casino.
The charges come just months after Arenas' son Elijah, a USC recruit, was seriously injured when he crashed his Cybertruck into a tree in Reseda. His freshman season won't likely happen because of an unrelated knee injury suffered last week. So no basketball this fall for either Arenas. Instead, Gilbert will be at a different court as this gambling trial starts in September.
He's presumed innocent, right? So let's give him the benefit of his presumption.
So the last alleged poker night had 26 people involved. It was about 3 years ago, so I reached out to the U.S. Attorney's Office to ask why there was such a disparity, a delay between that night and these charges. All they would say is they do not comment on ongoing investigations. We're live at Encino tonight. Tim Caputo, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Tim, thank you.
Hi, I'm Mario Lopez, and if this was an ad for a credit card, I would tell you how easy.
Conversations. So that's what's going on. When you hear that the Jewish mob, JDL, is, I believe that's the JDL, is involved with the illegal. So you talking about possible extortion, blackmail, of high visibility celebrities. That's who they target. It's a cold game, man. They got Hollywood sold up. Even NBA stars, and they're utilizing them and everything. Why they're not getting bad press about this? I wonder who controls the media. We up out of here on that note. DUSE to die, and a special breaking news sports edition.